Hello everybody, welcome back to another Minecraft video. It's Embr here. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. Today we are going to be going over 1.17 tips and tricks. So as soon as the 1.17 update drops, you will be able to use these tips in your own Minecraft world. Without further ado, let's get into the video. For our first tip here, I have this awesome green pasture. And in this unique field design, you actually use, drumroll please, azaleas. Now, the reason I like azaleas is because they're actually the exact same height as normal blocks, and you don't have to fall through them every time you walk on top of them like usual plant blocks, so it actually makes it perfect for texturing the ground and texturing grass. It's actually a really good block that matches well with moss and with the grass block. You can even use flowering azaleas to get flowers on the ground, on the grass, instead of actually having to place flowers there. For our next tip here is this awesome little dirty pasture here. That was a grassy pasture, this is a dirty pasture. Hey Embr, these are the exact same blocks, or what are you doing? I recognize this dirt block, this coarse dirt, this podzol, this path block, but the one block that I am using differently is actually this rooted dirt block. Now this is a really cool new block in the Minecraft update, which I think really matches well with dirt. The next tip we have here is actually this really cool bar design, nature table. I think it's really interesting and it's really unique. First, we're using stripped dark oak, stripped spruce, and regular oak, which I think really matches each other very nicely. And we even have these really cool spore blossoms that I use that I just kind of scattered around everywhere, which actually make this really interesting effect outside, which I think this particle effect just makes everything nature so much better. Next, we also have the drip leaves as chairs, and we have the azaleas as a table, which I think matches each other pretty nicely. And we have the glowberry vines, we have glow lichens, we have regular vines, and we also have this very unique looking vine, which I will explain later in the episode, so be sure to keep a watch out for that. Now, my next tip for you guys involves that awesome glow lichen. It's a really interesting block because you can actually texture it on top of previous build palettes that the Minecraft community has established. Now basically, all those big words aside, you can put glow lichen on top of tons of different blocks and it will actually create this really interesting block palette, and it really adds to every single block palette there is. If you have the granite, if you have the stony, the darker stones, the white blocks, every single one of those, this actually looks really good on, and it even could be used as a moss for like oak wood or something. It could even be used as a moss. Now it emits light, it's nice and subtle, it adds that crackly texture, which I think just makes it that extra step forward, and there's really not too much that you can't like about glow lichen. Now for my next one here, I spent a doozy of time on. This one took me about a half an hour. You guys don't have to spend that much time on it, but I definitely did. And I just wanted to get everything nice and detailed and perfect. Now here is this amazing pond design. There is a lot going on here and I can't wait to explain it all to you. Now first we have these dark oak sapling. Now dark oak is actually the only sapling in Minecraft to not grow if it's just by itself. It has to be in a pair of 4 in order for it to actually grow, which is why you can actually scatter it around riverbeds and as a extra little sapling block because it won't grow as a tree. I also used the same pasture design that we had in the first tip, and I used that design along with some lily of the valleys and alliums, and I think that really came out great. I think whenever you're making any sort of grass, you should definitely use this texture. Also, I used some of the glow lichen here as moss again, and I used that dirtier pasture and the earlier palette to actually make a path. That's it for outside. Now let's check inside of the pond. This awesome small drip leaf, which is arguably my favorite block so far that they've added. Now when it comes to blocks that you want to texture the underneath the bed of the pond with, these are the 6 blocks that I found are easily the best. I've tried and tested many others, but these are easily the 6 best blocks to texture at the bottom here with, and we actually have tough block and moss block, which are both part of the 1.17 update. So don't forget, whenever you're decorating the bottom of a pond, be sure to use these blocks in chunks. Next, we also have these big drip leaves, which I like a lot, and we have these flowering azalea leaves as well, along with regular azaleas. When we're down here, we actually have some seagrass as well as some tropical fish as well. Now let's just say you're roaming through the jungle and all of a sudden you see this awesome looking vine. You'll be like, what is this? I've never seen this. This isn't a block in Minecraft. What are you talking about? What mod do you have installed? But believe it or not, this is something you can actually do in vanilla Minecraft. Now, let me show you how. Now, this is actually going to blow your mind, but this is just the stem of a drip leaf block, which I find is really interesting. And now, guys, I do have to admit that this can only be achieved in creative mode because, unfortunately, we are using barrier blocks. There's no other way that we can plant these. So all you do is you place your barrier block and place it wherever you want. Place your drip leaf block, then bone meal it up. You're gonna want to delete the top block, bone meal it again, delete the drip leaf, and add that block back, and boom, you have this awesome new vine design. I don't think I've seen anyone do this. This was my own original idea, and I think it's really awesome. Shameless plug in here. If you want to see more really cool ideas just like this, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. I could use every single subscriber as a small YouTuber. Now, I have had such a difficult time with these hanging root blocks. I just had no idea what to do with them. Now, I came up with this really cool, really interesting 1 block wide tunnel design that you can actually use, and I think it's very interesting. It's a really cool 1 block wide tunnel design that I think whenever you're using a tunnel design, you should definitely use this idea. You also have the podzol blocks up here, which make it look like fungus dripping down, and this path block, which is really cool. And I think the rooted dirt actually looks insanely well here. This is probably the main block that I would use in this situation. Now, next we have this awesome Dwarven Mine. Now, I know this probably isn't as original of an idea, but it is actually really cool. It's really interesting. This is almost a vault, a Dwarven vault that you would use to store your precious items, such as diamonds or your netherite block, which I am very close to achieving in my multiplayer series, which you should totally go check out on my channel. There's another shameless plug-in for y'all. But yeah, I think this is a really interesting design, and I think the use of the copper is really cool. You can even also use this warped block because blue is the complementary color of orange, and I think this warped block looks really good as a background block, as a second texture block for the copper. In terms of copper block palette, I think that acacia wood actually matches really well, as I did with the trapdoors here, and I think one of the best blocks to match copper with is literally copper, oxidized copper. It's really interesting, and I think that's probably one of the best blocks to match copper with. Now, next here we have these block palettes that I made, and obviously including the copper. These are some awesome block palettes that I tried to incorporate some 1.17 blocks with. Now, first we have this calcite block here. This is meant for calcite. These are some white blocks. Now, a lot of people are matching up the white concrete powder with the calcite, so I wanted to go a step further and actually add some other blocks as well. So I added some diorite, some polished diorite, and some white wool. Now, I think in every single block palette that you have, you should always include a polished block because you never know when you'll need to use it. I think that's just one of the best tips I can have for making your own block palette. Next here we have this dripstone block, which I think matches with the warmer tones of that. And I think that the next best block that we can use is actually this granite block. And obviously, along with granite, you have bricks, you have polished granite, you have your terracotta, and you have your brown concrete powder, which I think actually adds a really nice contrast to this dripstone. I think it looks really nice. And also the dripstone spikes. Next, I wanted to try to find a block palette for amethyst. Now, with amethyst, I was thinking, okay, you got purple, right? So we could do some purple wool, right? We could do the purple concrete powder, and we could also use purple as a really nice contrast block in terms of building pillars. Now, it doesn't match completely in a gradient, but it would definitely match using a contrast. Next here we have the deep slate, which yeah, it's no longer Grimstone. I'm very sad about this. Alright, but you have your cobble deep slate and your polished deep slate, which I think look really good together. And you have your gray concrete and your gray concrete powder, which I actually think now, looking back in retrospect, you could probably have used the cyan concrete as well. Cyan terracotta as well. That would have looked really cool. And then obviously you have your 3 basalt. Last but not least here, we have the tuff block. Now, the tuff block looks more like an ocean block, like something you'd find in the sea, like ocean rocks or something. I thought that maybe since dead coral is actually a stonier looking block and is also found under the ocean, which gives it that ocean vibe, it would look really good in a block palette with tuff. Now, I didn't want to just go with the stereotypical stone, andesite, stone bricks, cobblestone. I wanted to go with something really unique for you guys so that you could spark your imagination. Now, I know I'm contradicting what I said earlier. I said you had to have a polished block for every single block palette, but usually for this block palette, you're not going to be using any polished blocks. It's going to be more for pathways and underwater, not really as much polished builds. But yeah, that was it for these block palettes. Now that was it for the video. I hope you guys really enjoyed. If you did, please smash that like button. It helps me out a ton, and it helps the YouTube algorithm see that this was an awesome video, and it'll show it to even more people. Leave a comment down below what was your favorite tip that you saw in this video, and if you have any other tips that you'd like to share with anyone else, please be sure to leave that in the comments below. And while you're down there, please make sure to like the video and make sure to subscribe if you want to see some epic content like this that I will be releasing soon. I have so many more ideas in the bank, and my channel is just getting started, so please make sure to subscribe and smash that like button. This was Embr, over and out.